Ayo, LAZ, if you need professional pictures, if you need a photo shoot for a wedding, a birthday party, a baby shower, whatever you need, follow Life Through Galleries on Instagram. Get you a professional photographer, you heard? Tell them LAZ sent you. Ayo, they calling this book The Hood Game of Thrones, you heard? Cop it up on Amazon right now, The Blood Saga.
The cribs got views. The Jews, Dave Yerman, if they proved A vermin, they toupees turning. I'll be burning GP in that new GT, the Kufi Freeze.
Ayo, LAZ, holla at me if you want to collab on a song or you need some music promo. Send me an email at thegenpopllc@gmail.com.
Limit, I'm the pilot, come fly with me. And when I touch down, I move around like it's 9 to me. To be or not to be, that is a question.
What's understood need not be
said. Don't say nothing. They say radio ain't gon' play that. Now you hear me on the radio across the map. The world is New York now. Ain't nobody eating pork now.
Hey yo, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell so you get a notification every time I drop a new episode. Z-Lord, I run these YouTube streets. Get at me.
Yeah, what happened with this story was that there was a friend of mine. He moved down to North Carolina from Jersey, and R.I.P. to him because he passed away a few years back on some dumb stuff too. But you know what I'm saying? He moved down to NC from Jersey, and when he came down, me and him wound up clicking up. We became cool, and a little while later, some people that he was cool with came down. One of the dudes that came down, name was Born. Born just touched down. He just came out of the Jersey system, and he had a brother named Farad. Farad is actually the dude that I was just telling you about that I had to go to that store to get. You know what I'm saying? This is how I met them, through my man that came down from Jersey. I met them through him. And Born, when he came down, I met him first. And, you know, Born was a street dude, you know what I'm saying? His family, well known out there in Jersey and whatnot. And when he came down there, I got cool with him too. But Born was getting high, you know what I'm saying? He was like dabbing in the streets and whatnot. And like maybe like a year or so later, this was after I met his brother and all of that. Like a year or so later, I used to be the gunman in North Carolina. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you needed cameras, I was the one to go to because I used to get them. And I used to sell a lot of them joints. So in the house where I stayed at, there was a gun always in arm's reach. So he came to the crib one day and I wasn't there, but it was other people there that knew this was my people's, and they let him in. And he wound up stealing like 3 guns out of the house. And when he stole them and I came home and they told me like, yo, sell such a, and you know, he came through and them joints is missing once he left. So I'm like, yeah, Born took them. They was missing. He took them. So I'm like, when I catch up to this dude, you know, it's going to be a serious conversation, because I was upset about that, because from the time he came down there, I always, like, I get this nigga the shirt off my back. I always looked out for him and his family. I wound up getting cool with his whole family. To this day, me and his family still cool. You know what I'm saying? Sisters and all of that. So, and his moms and all that, R.I.P. to her too. You know, she resting right now too. She just passed not too long ago, but she became like my moms too. But I was like, he took them. It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I got to have a serious conversation when I catch up to him. So one night, I'm in the house and nobody is here. Usually my house got 5, 6 people in there at a time. We used to sling and all of that out of there. And I'm in the house and I was like, I'm about to take me a bath. I rolled up like a blunt or two. This one I used to smoke. I rolled up like a blunt or two and I was like, I'm going to take a bath, sit in the tub and just puff. So when I go to get in the tub, I look at the clock. It's like 10:10. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just going to say what, I'm gonna just pick a number because the time was important to what happened. It was like 10:10. So I go to the tub and I look at the clock right before I go in and notice the time. So I go in the tub. As soon as I sit down, I spark up a blunt. I ran my water, set in the tub, sparked up a blunt. And as soon as I started hitting the blunt, out of nowhere, this feeling came over me. And it was a bad feeling. Like, I felt horrible. I can't even explain this. I just felt a real bad feeling come over me. And it was so bad that I started crying. And like, I couldn't get this feeling to lift from me. I don't know why I'm crying. I don't know why I feel this way. And I don't know what's going on. This is sort of like your stories of the unexplained. That's kind of like this story. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm feeling like this bad feeling. And it got me like to the point, like I said, where I'm just crying, like hurt crying. And out of nowhere, it hit me what was going on. And the information came to me. I knew that Vaughn was somewhere at that moment with one of my guns to his head, ready to kill himself. And what I was feeling was how he was feeling at that time. So I instantly started sending energy out to save him. And I started like pleading for his life. You know what I'm saying? And it took a long time. I sat there doing this for about a good hour and a half, 2 hours. It was 2 hours almost to the number, because I remember, like I said, when I went in, it was 10:10. When I came out, if it was 10:10, when I came out of the bathroom, it was 12:10. And I was exhausted after all of that. Out of nowhere, of like pleading for his life and sending that energy out to save this man, finally that feeling just lifted up off me, where I didn't feel it no more. That's when I was able to get out the tub. When I got out, the tub was ice cold. I hadn't even smoked the whole blunt, but I didn't have no energy to do nothing else but to drag myself to the bed and fall asleep because I was tired. So I went and laid down to rest. And when I woke up, I was like, damn, did that happen? But I know it happened because the tub was still full of water, and the one blunt that I didn't smoke was still in the box, and the other blunt that I had lit was sitting in the ashtray. And I'm like, yeah, that happened, because I would have smoked that. The water had got cold and everything. So in my head, I started thinking about what happened, and I knew this. I started saying, Vaughn is going to come to this house this morning. He going to be the first one that knock on my door, and when he knock on my door, he's coming to tell me what happened last night. So sure enough, probably not even an hour later, he knocks on my door. I open the door and I'm like, what's up, Vaughn? And it kind of shocked him that I wasn't mad. You know what I'm saying? But I already knew this was going to happen. So I'm like, what's up, Vaughn? And he was like, yo, Sel, man, first off, I want to say I'm sorry. I know I took your guns and whatnot, and I'm sorry. I got one of them right here. I want to give it back. The other ones I sold, I'm not even going to lie. You know how I'm living. You know the shit I'm doing. But I just wanted to tell you, like, what's going on with me. And I'm like, what's going on with you? But I already knew what he was about to tell me because I knew what happened. And he was like, yo, last night, Sel, I was just in a bad place. And I'm like, what you mean? And he was like, yo, I was going to kill myself. He said, I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you. I was going to kill myself. He said, I had that gun right there that I just gave you to my head. And I was sitting there with the gun to my head about to pull a trigger. So this is the part that I wanted to know. I asked him, I said, so why you didn't pull a trigger? He said, yo, I couldn't. He said, everything inside of me wanted to die. He said, Sel, I was squeezing that trigger. He said, I was pulling the trigger. I had the gun to my head and I'm pulling the trigger. He said, my finger is pressing on the trigger. I'm trying to squeeze the trigger. He said, but it would not go down. He said, the trigger would not press. I'm squeezing, I'm pushing, I'm squeezing that trigger. I'm trying with all of my energy. He said that trigger would not budge. And he was like, I don't know why I couldn't pull that trigger. He said, but my strength, my energy was pulling that trigger. He said something was stopping me from pulling that trigger. And I don't know what it was. So after he said that, I told him what happened. I said, Vaughn, I stopped you from killing yourself. He was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And I told him what happened to me the night before. I said, I felt everything you felt. And I knew what you were somewhere about to do. And I said, I sent that energy out to you to stop that. So I saved your life last night because I knew you was somewhere about to do some dumb shit. This man just broke down and started crying. He was like, yo, Cell, I'm sorry, I swear, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking and this and that, I don't know why I done that. And he was like, but you can't be lying because I swear I tried to pull that trigger, but I couldn't pull it. So the energy I sent out to me, wouldn't let that trigger move. My energy was fighting his energy to pull. But anyway, that happened. So not even a few days later, I was sitting outside in front of my door, and a dude directly across from me. I knew this dude from one other encounter when I was trying to re-up, and my connect wasn't jumping at the time. So it was this dude that I used to sling to that came through there, and he was like, yeah, I know this other dude that might have something. So he plugged me in with this dude. You know what I'm saying? R.I.P. to him too. You know what I'm saying? Bless the dead. He plugged me in with this dude, and he was like, yo, I know this dude, you know what I'm saying, that might have something. So I was like, all right, holla at him. So he called the dude, and the dude was like, yeah, hold it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna take you over there. But he never told the dude he had me with him. He only told the dude he was trying to come and get something. So when we get over there, the dude come out to the car, and he was like, yo, what the fuck going on? And he was like, what you mean? And he was like, I told you I wanted to get something. He was like, you don't bring nobody to my shit, you know what I'm saying? And I understood that. So I really ain't say nothing. I was quiet in between this conversation. So he was like, you don't bring nobody to my shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how we do shit. If you wanted something, you come and get it. Don't bring nobody I don't know to my shit. So I let them have that exchange, and he was like, you right, I'm sorry. So the dude was like, yo, you the one trying to get something? And I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, and I apologize for how that happened, and that's why I didn't say nothing, because I would have probably felt the same way. So I understand that. I thought when he spoke to you, he did let you know that he was bringing somebody, but he didn't, or I wouldn't have pulled up like this. So he was like, it's good, you know what I'm saying? So I wound up dealing with him. That's how I first met this dude, which I didn't meet him. That was the only exchange we had. So probably like months or could be tops a year later, he moved on that same block I was slinging off of, and he moved directly to the crib, directly across from me. No turns, no sideways lines. His spot was directly across from me. It was like a little housing complex or apartments. It was just like the front part of the building, and there was apartments up there, and there was a back part with apartments in it. But his apartment happened to fall dead in the middle of the apartments, and it was straight across from me. And one day I'm sitting out there on the rail, because we had like ranch style rails in front of the spot where I was at, and he walked across the street, and he came over to me, and he was like, yo, you sell? And I'm like, yeah. He didn't even remember me from this exchange a little bit earlier. So he was like, yo, you sell? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, yo, a few of my peoples told me about you. They told me you be having hammers, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to cop something. And I'm like, what you want? And he was like, I want a 4.4 Magnum. And he pulled out one. He was like, I want one just like this. And the funny thing is, I had just sold one just like that. And I was like, damn, that's crazy, because I just sold that exact same gun probably like 2 days ago. I was like, but give me a minute, I get it for you. So he was like, yeah, I need that. So he was like, I just want 2 of them, the exact same gun. So I was like, I got you. And we talked for a second, and I was like, you don't remember me? And he was like, nah, from where? I was like, you don't remember that day, such and such? And I reminded him. He was like, oh shit, yeah, that was you. And I was like, yeah, that was me. And I was like, I just remember you from that day. And he was like, yeah, man, that was me, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, whatever. We spoke. But anyway, that was the end of that conversation. He wound up going back to the crib. So the dudes that he used to mess with, I wound up getting cool with them. It was some dudes that he used to have around him. One of these niggas' name was Ken Du. Ken Du was like, me and him became real cool. And Ken Du used to fuck with Mobb Deep. You know what I'm saying? The Mob, at that time, if you remember, the dude Killer, remember he was like, that I can't say, so is left to untold facts and all of that? When Killer was on the run for that shit. And they was like fucking with them. I think for a second Killer was down there. I never met him, but you know, Ken Du used to tell me like, yeah, that's my peoples and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I be around them all the time. But anyway, he was cool with them. So I knew Ken Du more than I knew the other dude that I told you just came and said he wanted to get the hammer. But anyway, he left, and like 2 days later, I'm at my people's crib, the shorty, and I'm over there, and I get a phone call. My people's like, yo, some shit just happened on the block. Come over here. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what's going on. They ain't telling me what happened. All they telling me is some shit just happened on the block. Come over here. So I'm like, all right. So I jump in the car. I dip over there. When I get over there, there's police out there. There's a coroner's van, and ambulance and all of that. And there's a bunch of people standing out there in front of the building. And it's the same building where your boy was at that just asked me to sell him the hammer. So I go over there, and Ken Do out there, and I'm like, what's up, dude? So I start talking to him. He was like, yo, shit crazy, man. It's like some wild shit just happened. And I'm like, what happened? And he was like, my cousin. Now, the dude that I told you that wanted to buy the hammer, that was his cousin. So he was like, yeah, my cousin just got killed up in here. But he also killed the nigga that killed him. And I'm like, word, what the hell happened? So he started telling me the story. And the crazy shit was, he finds out at that time that his girl was cheating on him with his cousin, because his girl was in the house when all of this shit happened. But what happened was some dudes ran over there, kicked the door open, and backed them niggas down. The dude that got killed, his cousin, was in the room with his girl. He pushed her in the closet and told her stay there, got behind the bed and pointed that fofo at the door. When the dude walked through the door, saw him behind the bed, he shot. But the dude also shot too, so they hit each other. And that fofo hit him in the body area. So he was done. But he stumbled outside. The dude that was trying to rob him stumbled outside. But he hit the other dude, the one who I was telling you about. We just gonna call him Black, because I don't really want to say his name because it's people's, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to stir up no fucked up memories, whatever, but it is what it is. But Black shot him in the chest area, and he shot Black in the face. Their guns went off at the same time. So the dude stumbles outside, and he was with his peoples, and his peoples trying to drag him. He had on a goose coat, feathers and blood everywhere. You can see that shit still on the stairs. He's still laying up there at the top of the stairs while I'm standing out there talking to him. So he was like, yeah, he stumbled out here and dropped right here. The other dude wound up having to leave him and dipped in the car and left. So he told me the whole story. And I was like, yo, that's fucked up, His girl is out there too, over there talking to the cops, trying to explain what happened, but she didn't see much because, like I said, he pushed her in the closet when the dudes ran in. When he heard the door get kicked, he pushed her in the closet and told her stay there. And he just got behind the bed and pointed the gun at the door when all of that happened. So she ain't really see shit. So she only telling them what she heard or whatever.
That was the kid who was trying to buy the 4-4 from you?
Yeah, the same dude that tried to buy the 4-4 from me. That's the one who got behind the bed and pushed Shorty in the closet. And that's the one who was my nigga dude. That was his cousin. And he was messing with his girl, but he didn't even know nothing about it. He found out from this situation that his girl was cheating on him with his cousin. Because what the fuck was she doing in there, in his room with him? But anyway, he was like, yeah, it's fucked up. My cousin is gone, but at the same time, I'm hurt because he gone, but I'm also hurt because I find out that he was sleeping with my girl. So I'm like, yeah, that's crazy, this and that. But while I'm standing there, it didn't even dawn on me nothing about what I told you about the other story. It ain't even dawned on me about my peoples that I saved from doing what he done to himself until something said, look up. When I look up, at that exact same moment, it's a shooting star going across the sky, and it's coming from over top of my apartment, and it goes directly over top of their apartment. Instantly, as soon as something said look up, and I looked up and I saw that. And as soon as that happened, the thoughts came to me that what just happened was kind of the balancing of you saved one life, but in the way things work, that man supposed to die that night. So, and balancing out that two people lost their lives behind that one life you saved, that's the message that came to me when I looked up and saw that star. And then they took those two people and they both got put in the car in the van right next to each other. But I also wound up hearing from my other peoples, they came back to me and told me, he was like, yo, the same dudes that ran in his house came to me, because he knew the dudes that ran in his house. He was like, they came to me like a week before that happened, asking about you. Because like I said, I was slinging on that block. He said, they came to me asking about you. And, you know, I know how this dude is. If he got somebody locked in his targets, it ain't much a person can tell them. He's still going to do what he do, but he's just asking out of respect. And he said, when he asked about you, I told him, yeah, that's my people's. But me knowing that he's still going to think what he going to think or do what he going to do, he said, I just basically gave him some follow-up information. He was like, I'm going to tell you now, though, if you're thinking about running in that nigga house or doing something, you better go in that bitch ready to blaze. It ain't going to be no running in there and like backing shit down. He said he keep a bunch of young niggas around him. All of these niggas is trained to go, and there's one nigga that sits behind the door with a shotgun anytime they're in there with work. And that's how I had it. I had a nigga that had a Mossberg that I used to keep sitting behind the door, and I had put like a screwdriver. I nailed the screwdriver into the floor, so even if you kick the locks off, that screwdriver, when you hit it, it was going to hit that screwdriver. So it was going to give whoever's sitting behind that door enough time to like buck through that door. And I used to always tell them, when you shoot through that door, don't shoot for no chest, none of that, shoot for the legs, because you take a nigga legs out, they ain't coming in this house. So the dude behind the door, that was their assignment. If somebody kicked this door, just shoot leg area, and then after that we do what we have to do. So he told him, he was like, I'm telling you, I can't stop you because I know how you are, but if you run in that house, just be prepared to shoot it out, because the niggas he got around him, they're going to shoot, they're not going to hesitate to shoot, and that house is full of guns. I've been in there. It's full of guns. And all of them niggas in there is trained to go. So when he told me that, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Because they wind up probably skipping us and went to that dude, because that dude used to sell weight too. And I looked up and saw that star coming from over my house and going directly over their house. That's the thoughts that came to my head, that I saved this man's life a few days earlier, and then directly across the street from me, 2 people died. So in all reality, you know, it wasn't connected, but when you know, like when you dealing with stuff that is energy based, I knew that somehow that was a balance for what I've done 2 days earlier. Because if something is supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen. And if you alter that, then something else is supposed to take place to balance that back out. So that's the message I got, that was the balance for that right there that happened with that. And like I said, I can't connect that in a physical sense, but in an energy sense, and in a sense where, you know what I'm saying, it ain't gonna make much sense in the physical space, but I knew that was kind of the balance for me saving that one life, that 2 lives got lost. You know what I'm saying? My man Dude, like I said, I stood out there talking with him, and I was like, yo, it's crazy, because, you know what I'm saying, that's your peoples and whatnot, but it's fucked up how you had to find out what was going on. But yeah, like I always felt like, you know what I'm saying, that life is balanced. It's not even ifs and a buts about it. Life is balanced, and the laws of life is balanced. So that's why the first story I was telling you about with the karma thing, how saving somebody else's life saved my life, that's how balance works. And even that's on the positive side, but also on the negative side. So like that is why I related them 2 things together, because I saved one life that was probably supposed to die that night, and behind that 2 people lost their lives. Like I said, can't really connect it physically, but in the laws of energy, like universal laws, I know that was a balance for that situation.
You said the kids that ran up in that while he was with that chick, that was the chick crib though?
Nah, it was the dude who came to buy the gun from me. It was his spot. You know, like I said, he stayed directly across from me. The chick she didn't stay there. That was my man. The dude, Ken Dude, that was his girl. You know what I'm saying? She just happened to be there with his cousin that night when all of that happened.
And he had drugs in that crib. That's what they was coming for.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, he didn't even have it in there at that time. His shipment got delayed by 1 day, so somebody in that crib was providing information, probably, because at the end of the day, they knew that it was supposed to be something in there that day. It seemed like, you know what I'm saying? I can't say that for certain, but the day that he was supposed to got a nice little bit of stuff in there was the day they ran in there. But his stuff had got delayed by a day. And the crazy shit is, like, maybe a few years later, I wound up meeting the shorty that was supplying him. She was from Jersey. And I met her through the same dude I was telling you about, where I got cool with his family, the one I saved his life, like, you know, kind of sent out the energy to stop that night of him killing himself. I'm with his sister one day, and, you know, she wound up getting around one of her friends, and we in Jersey, and we go to IHOP, and we sitting in there talking and eating, and she was like, "Oh, you from North Carolina?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not from there, but I'm down there." And she was like, "Do you know such and such and such a?" And I'm like, "Yeah, those my peoples, you know." She named Black. And I was like, "Yeah, but he got killed." And she was like, "I know." You know, she was like, "The crazy thing is, I was the one who was dealing with him. And I never knew about the fact that the shipment had got delayed and whatnot." She told me that. She was like, "I was actually supposed to bring him some stuff that day, but some stuff happened with me where I couldn't make it to the next day. And then I heard he got killed that day. Like, you know, dudes ran up in there. And it always stayed in my mind that I was supposed to have been there that day, dropping some stuff off." Yeah, that was like a few years later, I found that information out. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy how shit work out.
That's nuts.
But yeah, that was just like, you know, some weird stuff that happened to me. Like, you be telling your unexplained stories or stuff that happened to me. That was like an unexplained thing, because I knew what had happened with that dude that night. I knew that he was going to come the next day and tell me what happened. And I knew that he was going to kill himself the night before. How did I know that? How can I ever explain that? I can't. Just like I knew that them 2 lives that got lost behind that came from that one life that got saved. How can I explain that? How can I ever confirm that? I can't. But I knew that was connected.
Hey, yo, man, shout out to my motherfucking people, St. Laz and Pottersfield. You know what I mean?
Hey, yo, LAZ, if you need professional pictures, if you need a photo shoot for a wedding, a birthday party, a baby shower, whatever you need, follow Life Through Galleries on Instagram. Get you a professional photographer, you heard? Tell them LAZ sent you. Hey, yo, they calling this book The Hood Game of Thrones, you heard? Cop it up on Amazon right now, The Blood Saga.
The cribs got views. The Jews, Dave Yerman, if they proved A vermin, they toupees turning. I'll be burning GP in that new GT, the Kufi freeze.
Hey, yo, LAZ, holla at me if you want to collab on a song or you need some music promo. Send me an email at thegenpopllc@gmail.com.
Limit, I'm the pilot, come fly with me. And when I touch down, I move around like it's 9 to me. To be or not to be, that is a question.
What's understood need not be said.
Say that, don't say nothing. They say radio ain't gon' play that. What? Now you hear me on the radio across the map. The world is New York now. New York now. Ain't nobody eating pork now.
Hey, yo, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell so you get a notification every time I drop a new episode. Z-Lord, I run these YouTube streets. Get at me.